Hey guys, how's it going? Delrith here, bringing you another rapid fire style review, this time for the game BattleTech. BattleTech is a turn-based strategy game developed by Harebrained Schemes and published by Paradox Interactive. Those of you familiar with Paradox Interactive will know that they've done a lot of grand strategy games in the past, so I was extremely eager to hop into this one and check it out, especially with how much of a fan of the MechWarrior and BattleTech universes I am. I cannot state enough that I love giant combat robot things. Freaking awesome. In BattleTech, you control a group of up to 4 maximum battle mechs called a Lance across multiple missions on randomly generated maps across multiple different planets. Combat in this game is turn-based, meaning that you will alternate actions between your own units and with the enemy AI who holds to these same rules. Well, most of the time. Combat reminded me heavily of XCOM, involving an immense amount of planning and thought and every action with interesting decisions and resulting in a diverse set of consequences. This was something that BattleTech got incredibly right. I also gotta say that it being possible for pilots to die and mechs getting completely destroyed really motivated me to take every action I took a lot more seriously. The UI is also extremely elaborate and overflowing with information. This is something you'll be able to adapt to rather quickly, however, as you play through a few missions, and you will come to appreciate and understand why all of it is there. I honestly had no complaints with the UI, and any information I needed was always readily available. It really complemented the turn-based strategy format, I felt. The main campaign involves you starting off as a bodyguard to one of the great houses in the universe and eventually transitioning into being a full-fledged mercenary outfit leader. You get dragged into a massive war between these great houses and will be assisting one of them in an attempt to secure victory. Honestly though, I'd consider the main campaign a secondary aspect, and the primary focus, from at least what I thought, was the infinite amount of side missions that you can embark upon to kill time and build up currency. This will also allow you to build up reputation with other side factions in the game, get access to their specific technologies and equipment. Heck, you can even become a space pirate in this game if you want, a criminal. It's pretty rad, and it'll actually have decisions and stuff later on for you to make that are only available if you are an evil bad guy. Your entire drive and purpose, though, can be boiled down into one simple concept: earning money to prevent your freaking merc company from going bankrupt before each and every payroll. You're going to be constantly trying to buy upgrades for your mechs, repairing your mechs, buying new weapons, fitting these new weapons, which has a separate cost, and upgrading various parts of your mercenary organization to give you an edge over your rivals. I was constantly stressed out about money in the beginning of the game, and it'll have a huge impact on the decisions you make throughout. An example of this would be deciding between getting a bunch of salvage for a mission or taking a bunch of money. You can't have both, and that's always something to consider. Now, I gotta say, BattleTech is a very quirky game to play on the tabletop, with a lot of odd rules and some frustrating things, and this game kinda adapted that perfectly. In fact, the same love and hate relationship that people have with the tabletop version is something that I had with this game throughout my playthrough. This game has a lot of RNG aspects to it that will frustrate the living hell out of you at times, and then other times make you feel like a god. Things like pilots getting wounded while having full freaking armor, ammo getting hit when detonating, cockpits getting blown up and instantly killing your mech are all things that came to mind. One of the most frustrating things that I frequently encountered in this game that, well, I kid you not, made me quit once or twice, was my damn pilots getting wounded from a missile that did 1 or 2 damage. It scratched my paint, but my pilot got hurt, and it freaking sucked when that happened. But at the same time, it's immensely satisfying when you do it to the enemy AI. Side missions are also completely RNG based, and because of this, there are massive difficulty problems with the game. The enemies that you fight in these side missions are randomly generated whenever you load and reload, causing a massive variance in how hard the missions themselves actually are. There were times when a 3 skulls out of 5 mission, which is their difficulty rating icon, would pit me up against 14 enemy mechs, which pure insanity, and force me to reload to get an easier spawn. But then maximum difficulty missions would be complete breezes and put me up against mostly tanks in a game where losing pretty much ends your playthrough or forces you to go back to an earlier save. I was not a fan of that system. As with the tabletop, there are also a lot of massive and glaring balancing issues in the game. Missiles count as individual missiles. On the tabletop, they're batteries, resulting in each one having a chance to individually RNG wound a pilot or hit your ammo. In a game where you can fire 100+ missiles in a single turn, that could be a major problem. A lot of the heavy weapons generally seem useless as well, with the bigger ones being a lot more weight and more heat, but less damage than simply stacking smaller weapons. The values are actually different than the tabletop, resulting in the spamming of lesser weapons outweighing the bigger ones. I'm looking at the AC-20, which doesn't even make sense to use from a damage standpoint. Balance patches are definitely something we'll see in the future. The game's pacing also seemed incredibly off to me. A lot of animations in combat aren't skippable, and there's a lot for everything you do, even if you disable them in the menus, leading to a lot of fatigue when you're playing the game. I genuinely could only sit down and do a handful of missions at a time before I got tired and had to take a break. It felt really slow to me, and the main campaign itself ended up taking around 60 hours because of this. I think I had to start and restart my game like 150 times to get through it in between missions. The storyline itself was also not so engaging to me. I found myself caring more about the side missions than actually completing the storyline, and I never really connected with the characters. It's definitely, like I said, not a game you buy for the story, more so for the giant combat robots slaughtering each other with massive guns. Oh yeah, there's also multiplayer in the game, but the version I was playing on and reviewing didn't have it available to me at the time because I was on the press early access and it hadn't been enabled. Overall though, I'd say BattleTech was a pretty decent game for the price of $40. If you're a fan of the universe, I'd say check it out. If you're not super into the universe, I'd say give it some time for the price to possibly drop and for patches to fix some of the issues I mentioned. It'll be a good thing to kill time with later on, I think. My final score, however, is a solid 7 out of 10. It's an all-around good game and a rather faithful recreation of the tabletop, and I could truly appreciate that. And it's also nice to have another game like XCOM to play in my spare time when I want to go back and do more side missions. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this rapid-fire review. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm Delrith, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Bye, guys.